many times, diba, we think intimacy, romance, sex is what happens in the bedroom. But a lot of the quality of our intimacy, of romance and sex is really determined by what happens outside the bedroom.
I'll let Tammy speak about what a woman needs.
Okay. So to recap, paki-recap lang sandali. For men, honor, sex, fun and friendship, and domestic or support, home support. Okay? Yes, yan. For women, layo no, like I said, number 13 ang sex for women. The number one need that us women have is really security. And the one thing that makes us feel secure is when we feel like our husbands care. Minsan, di ba, ewan ko yung, paano ba yun, di ba, yung pag may sasabihin, gano'n. Tapos parang, hindi okay na yan, solusyon na. Yung may solusyon, minsan, hindi yun yung gusto ko. Gusto kong ma-feel na you care.
Guilty ako. Guilty ako dyan.
Hindi ko hinahanap na may solusyon ka. Hindi ko hinahanap na mag-agree ka. Ang hinahanap ko is that you are taking time to listen because what concerns me is a concern to you. So husbands, it is big to us when we feel like what bothers us, gusto niyong alamin, gusto niyong pakinggan. Hindi niyo na-feel na OA kami. Ay kasi minsan 'di ba how we express it? Minsan din naman aminado ako, parang feeling ko na overwhelmed na ako, na parang gano'n. Tapos minsan yung husbands, lalo na si Dennis, very kasi siya, simple mag-isip. So ako parang pag na-overwhelmed na ako, sabi niya, simple, ba't mo pinoproblema? Yung gano'n. Pero pag dina-validate niya, may time lang na, lika dito, grabe, parang validate niya lang na, okay lang. There's nothing that makes us feel more secure than if we know that our husbands give priority to what is important to us. Okay? And as husbands, diba, kung meron kayong napapansin minsan na if your wives tend to nag or yung paulit-ulit na sinasabi, it means baka kami, when we do that, it means baka kasi we don't feel secure. And we feel like we don't feel heard. That's why we feel like sometimes we have to keep repeating ourselves because ibig sabihin, if we keep repeating ourselves about our finances, about our children, ibig sabihin, because I don't feel secure in this area and I need you to reassure me that it's taken care of, that you'll help me in this area. Okay? So husbands, yan, what doesn't bother a man really bothers a woman. Pag feeling ko, parang wala siyang pakialam, it bothers us. And I remember, kasi sa lalaki, 'di ba? Ang solution pag may hindi connected sa inyo, kung may problema sa labas, pagdating sa bedroom, sex, okay na 'yun. Parang kaya niyong i-separate. Parang the world doesn't have to be in order for you to be able to have sex and enjoy it. For us women, we cannot have sex until we feel like the world is in order. So, may ganong dynamic. So, we really need you to reassure us that our world is in order.
So, pag naligo kami, nag-toothbrush na kami, nag-ayos na kami, nag-workout pa ako that day, pero dahil hindi kita pinakinggan doon sa something that's been bothering you.
May tulo yung sa washing machine, may hira.
Na 3 linggo mo na sinasabi, mahihirapan ka talaga to have sex with your spouse. Yeah.
Yan. Okay, and husbands, diba, we know that wives, diba, wives, we are called helpmates. Husbands naman, you are growers, you are nurturers, you are cultivators. I think that's the term that you used before, diba, that you are to cultivate your wives. So it means you have to to grow us na parang, di ba may ganun ka laging
kinakwento. Yeah, pinapalago mo yung binigay sa inyo ni Lord.
Yeah, the gifts that we have, yung secure kami na we can flourish in how we were designed. Okay? And to cherish, di ba meron yan sa vows, diba? To love you and to cherish you. Cherish means to protect. Parang to protect against anything that can actually harm. Okay? So yan. So security is our number one need. Mabasahin ko lang to. There's nothing that makes a woman more secure than a selfless, sacrificial spouse or husband. And there is nothing that makes a woman more insecure than a selfish, detached husband. If we see that you don't care, if we feel that you don't care, that makes us insecure. And
yeah. And masakit din.
Masakit yun.
Masakit talaga.
Yes. Again. Yan. How to provide security is ways to provide security to romance our wives. So ikaw dapat nagsasabi pala nito. The romance. Ako na lang magsasabi. In behalf of the wives, husbands, romance.
What is romance?
Wait lang. Romance kasi sa husbands. Sinabi ko kanina, di ba? For the husbands, when we talk about romance, the husbands, romance equals sex.
Talk. Ay, sex. Oh.
Diba? For us, wives, romance is about meeting an unspoken need in us or that we have. And alam mo yung feeling na, alam mo di ba minsan pag nagtatampo tayo, mga husbands, alam niyo to, pag nagtatampo yung mga asawa ninyo, tapos inaamo nyo na gano'n, tapos sabihin niya, galit ka ba? Tapos kami, hindi. Tapos parang, wala, okay lang ako, ganyan. Tapos kami, feeling ko hindi ko alam kung ako lang ba to, pero baka naman, feeling ko, we want us, parang kami, dapat alam na niya, di ba? Dapat, di ba niya gets? Di ba niya ako kilala? I remember before, meron akong mga lines kay Dennis. Sa tagal na natin, di mo pa ba alam na ayoko ng ganito or na ito yung gusto ko? And I think that was me communicating that my way of feeling, I'm feeling connected with you is if that you can actually fulfill an unspoken need. Hindi ko kailangan sabihin. Hindi ko kailangan hingin, inag, ulit-ulitin. Pero dahil you study me, it communicates to me, if you know my needs, it means, I'm important enough that he's paying attention to me. So even if I don't say it, he knows.
Yeah. Note lang sa mga wives, no? I think what I appreciate about Tammy is, I don't have to be romantically perfect. Pero pag nakikita niya, we're making effort towards meeting an unspoken need. No, kasi you don't get it one day. After ng webinar, wow, sobrang galing mo na, nami-meet mo na yung unspoken need. But if they see, as what we said, the foundation, effort, that you are trying to meet an unspoken need in her, she feels loved, she feels valued, and that's how you romance your wife.
Yeah, because it makes us feel you are paying attention to us and you value us.
Yeah.
Next way to provide security is to be a good provider and money manager. So some good questions, and then mamaya na lang to assignment na lang yun.
Okay.
Some questions.
Yan, pa-screenshot nyo na lang. Yan. Ito yung mga kailangan nyong sabihin at i-discuss sa date night nyo. Yan.
Tulad nung sinabi ni Dennis kanina, di ba? Don't assume. Even the wives, let's not assume that okay tayo. Di ba? Parang there's always room for improvement.
Mahirap din bumanat kasi ng, ako nga, nagtatrabaho na nga ako para sa pamilya. O yung babae, ako nga nagbabasa sa mga bata. Di ba? I think these are good questions to ask in the spirit of grace so that we can have a stronger marriage. All right? Let's go to the next one.
So, gusto ko lang ibalik dun sa yung being a faithful provider.
Okay.
Maiksi lang, magko-comment lang ako dun. And parang kasi baka may false na pressure din on the husband that you have to earn a certain amount. I think for us wives, what we want to see is you are doing the best that you can, to the best of your ability to provide for us and not put the burden of providing on your spouse.
Yeah.
Kasi what if talaga hirap naman, di ba?
Yeah.
So,
huwag ka lang tamad.
Wag yun. So, yun yung gusto ko sabihin doon, na we want to see na nag-e-effort kayo na gusto nyo alagaan yung family. Yan. And one more thing that you did not place there is the one way to for us to be secure is if our husbands love God more than anything else. Because it means, if meron akong nahihirapan ako, meron akong ganon, pwede kong isumbong kay Lord. Tapos alam kong ang asawa ko, pag kinausap ni Lord, makikinig siya kay Lord. That gives me so much security and assurance. Okay? So that's the first need, security. Second need is non-sexual touch or affection. Because this communicates, I value you. Non-sexual means, hindi, nilalambing kita, hindi para may makuha ako. Hindi dahil may gusto din akong need na ma-fulfill. But I just want to communicate that I value you. And the affection here is, it's not even, kasi many times, diba, we think intimacy, romance, sex is what happens in the bedroom. But a lot of the quality of our intimacy, of romance and sex is really determined by what happens outside the bedroom.
Yes.
As wives, do we honor? Do we respect? As husbands, do we show affection? Do we provide security? So, yan. Okay, next. Number 3 is open and honest conversation. And I remember saying this earlier, diba, that most of the time we talk about, lalo na if there are many kids, tapos lalo na kung may isang negosyo kayo or you have the same, di ba parang work environment, usually the conversation is centered on the kids or on the budget or the work, ganyan. But communication really is more than that. It's an exchange of feelings and thoughts that nagkakaintindihan tayo. And so husbands minsan, pag nagtatanong, ano naisip mo? Si Dennis, hirap ako pag yung, so ano na-feel mo? Ako parang, wala ka na-feel dun? Kasi feeler ako. Siya naman parang, wala, ito nangyari, ganyan. So yan. So, meron ka gumasabi dun?
Hindi, siguro sa mga points na sinabi mo lang, pag mapansin mo, if you want to have a healthy sex life with your wife, you've got to learn how to be non-sexual. Conversation, non-sexual affection. Di ba? Parang ang labo, no? Parang labo, no? Kung gusto mo makipag-sex sa wife mo, dapat non-sexual ka. Grabe, no?
Hindi naman yun. Kasi we're created sexual.
Yeah, I mean, pero, in the lens of the guy, it's like, di ba, i-hug mo siya ng ganito na wala kang iniisip na iba. Di ba? It's non-sexual, right? I kiss you on the cheeks. Goodbye. It's not saying, pag-kiss ko siya, maraming gabi. Walang ganon. It's just non-sexual. Or kung gusto tayo, this won't lead to the bed, right? You're opening up to me, umiiyak ka, for sure wala tong mamayang gabi, right? But then the wife feels more loved, the wife feels more valued, and then maybe tomorrow night something's gonna happen because she feels like, wow, now I can open up to you, and wow, you value me so much. It's so easy to give up myself to you. Yun lang.
And I think this is one of the main differences between husband or I'm talking generalities again, husband and wife. So, yung kanina husband, sabi mo, 'di ba? Sobrang iba yung sex drive niyo. So for us wives, we really need sometimes to act more sexual kahit na hindi natin feel. Pero parang to serve our spouses, go. I will do it with pleasure, ganyan, willingly. Same way with the husbands. Minsan parang usap na, kasi yun yung lagi sinasabi ni Dennis, Seko, pag-usapan natin to. Sabi niya, ano pang pag-uusapan natin? Kakausap lang natin tungkol dyan. Di ba? And sometimes parang, usap na naman. Ganyan na naman.
Uy, baka akala nila dahil usap na naman, hindi to sexual conversation, by the way.
Hindi yung, di ba? So,
the normal, almost everyday conversation where she wants to process things with you because ikaw yung partner niya, ikaw yung husband niya. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina. Guys, whether we like it or not, kailangan natin maupo at makinig.
And I think more than kinig, the term is to connect.
Yes.
Like connect with us emotionally, connect with us, di ba? And one way is to talk and to ganyan, di ba? Parang whether you feel like it or not, ganun talaga. Kasi that's how we're designed.
And that's the same way with sex. Whether wives, whether you feel it or not, you will also serve your husband the same way the husband needs to serve the wife by learning how to listen and to connect with the spouse. So talaga, it's meeting each other's need. No, it's being selfless and saying, I've died to myself. I want to meet your need.
Okay. Next is leadership. We need you to lead. Meaning we need to see that you are the one initiating in the family, in our marriage. Okay. And here are some areas where we need your leadership. When it comes to our children, gusto naming wives, na you initiate in how we want to discipline our children. Even, lalo na pag, kasi ang tendency na pag homeschool, lalo na, ngayon, dami nag-home, di ba? Technically, parang nag-homeschool lahat ngayon. Parang nangyari, ikaw na yan, toka mo na yan. Ako magbabayad ng tuition. Ako mag-provide ng mga kailangan bilhin. Pero ikaw na magtuturo. But it iba pa rin if the dads are involved in raising up, disciplining, educating our children. Okay? We want you to initiate romance. Again, romance is beyond sex. And I remember, I was telling about this, diba? I remember there's an interview with Christopher Reeves and his wife. Diba, si Superman, diba he became quadriplegic? But they actually they did this interview on how they're still able to romance each other and fulfill each other's sexual needs kahit na quadriplegic siya. So parang, oh, grabe, Lord. So kung siya quadriplegic, they can still fulfill each other sexually. It means romance, intimacy, sexual fulfillment is not limited to sexual intercourse. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm bringing this up because there are really, lalo na ngayon, di ba, daming hormonal imbalance, ang daming mga, di ba, parang yung iba narinig ko, senior na kami, wala na kami sa ganyan. Yung maraming mga nag-ano sa amin doon, yung mga comment, yung, ay kayo kasi, ano pa kayo, bata pa, dami pang energy. Kami wala na, yung ganyan. And I bring this up to say that it's not just sexual intercourse, that's the only way for us to fulfill our spouse's sexual needs. Because we are created sexual beings. So kahit na tanggalin mo yung intercourse doon, there are ways to fulfill our spouses sexually and to also be more intimate. Yan. Okay? Yung huli kong sinabi, pwedeng health, pwede ding hygiene. Yung maligo ka, mag-toothbrush ka, ganyan. And finally, I think which is important is the spiritual atmosphere of the home. We need you to lead us spiritually. And I see many, many times, diba, kasi I think as women, we're naturally nurturers. So it's natural for us na, ito yung kailangan sa bahay, tapos kailangan, gawin natin to, ganyan. And it actually, kung ayaw niyong makulit kami, we really just want you to take initiative and lead. And this is where I want to emphasize how important discipleship is also. And I have seen the difference when we counsel husbands and wives who we know are going through discipleship and are accountable and vulnerable and not ashamed to ask for help. We see the difference. We see how much healthier the marriages become if they are open to walking out marriage and life and na walang disconnect. Diba? Na hindi lang sila umaattend ng Bible study or ng victory group, pero nag-open up sila. Nandito kami ngayon. This is our real state. And that changes the spiritual atmosphere in the home. And it's a big deal for us as wives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Balik ko lang muna before Tammy ends this, no? Tapos na yung talk, no? But the importance of discipleship in community. What made us, and that's the heart of why we're doing this Stronger Marriage. We want you to be part of community where people can actually speak into your lives. You'll have couples who are more mature, who've walked the walk, who can walk with you. Kami ni Tammy, hanggang ngayon may marriage mentors kami. And now we're trying to mentor other people, whether it's through our podcast or through our friends who go to our house, and we make some calls with some of the couples because we know that grabe yung effect sa amin ng discipleship. Nung na-disciple kami, sobrang bilis. Hindi mo kailangan taguin yung mga problema mo. You can work it out. There's some people who will give you wisdom. And that's why this is very crucial for you to have a stronger marriage this year and next year. No?
Yeah. And yeah, so I want to close with just going back to yung kanina na, yung till death do us part. Diba? How tatanda tayong lahat, diba? And we will be growing old with each other. The question is, do we want to be two old, miserable people living together, or do we want to be two happily married best friends living together? So my question, I guess, as we end this is, what is your vision for your marriage? And I hope that you get God's vision for your marriages. I think some of you may have heard us talk about this, that the first mention of the first miracle of Jesus in the Bible was at a wedding, di ba? And we always relate that yung Jesus turning the water into wine, and then the best wine was served at the last. We relate that to parang the picture of us, that our marriage, God's desire and God's vision for our marriages is really the more we learn to die to self, the more we learn to understand how God designed marriage, the sweeter it gets through the years. And that is our vision for you, whether you are newly married or whether you have been married long. Okay, that our heart is to see that you can say it's better now than it was before. And please don't be ashamed to be accountable to someone, because that's really, I cannot I cannot overemphasize that the way that how it has been for us, what has really helped us is both of us growing in the Lord and growing with people, with church community. And one final thing that I want to say is we have to remember that marriage is a covenant. And our marriages are to reflect God's covenant with us. And we cannot take God out of the equation. Whenever we talk about our marriages, pag may issue tayo, we go back to alin dito yung di natin kasi na-fulfill na principle. We go back to what God has to say because our marriage is not between the two of us. Our marriage is between you, your spouse, and God. And we cannot take Him out of the equation. We cannot neglect our spouse and think, okay naman kami ni Lord ah. Kumbaga yung triangle will not be complete kung may isa dyan na neglect sa equation. So let's remember that our marriage is a 3-chord strand. And for it not to be broken, it has to remain 3-chord. And yun, I want to leave you with that. That's remember it's a covenant, and I leave you with what is your vision for your marriage. I hope that you embrace God's vision for your marriage as well.